Brace yourselves, because what just exploded between DDG and Blueface might be the most jaw-dropping friendship collapse the streaming world has ever witnessed. And it all blew up over a baby shower that ended with police being called, doors being banged on, and a grown man reading his private text messages out loud to 45,000 strangers. Yes, you heard that right. Blueface got on live, pulled up his entire text thread with DDG, and put their whole friendship on trial in front of the internet, basically accusing him of going Hollywood, ignoring his calls, ducking a tour they supposedly planned together, and disrespecting the very people who helped him win. And honey, that was only the first domino to fall. Because that same weekend, Blueface's baby shower spiraled into absolute chaos when a surprise guest popped up uninvited. Somebody pretended to be the mailman to get through the front door, and Blueface's baby mama ended up dialing the police while the whole thing was being streamed live. On top of that, DDG quietly dropped a tweet about his son that has everybody reading between the lines. And let's just say it explains a whole lot more than people think. We are also getting into the internet personality named Flo, who just got dragged to filth by a woman claiming she bankrolled his entire lifestyle and never got her $2,000 back, and his response to her will genuinely leave you speechless. And as if that was not enough, there is a wild club confrontation between Woo Lady and Jana that has the Baton Rouge streaming circle in shambles, with daughters, hookahs, and live streams all in the mix. So much happened in such a short window that if you blink, you will miss a plot twist. Grab your snacks, lock in, and let's unpack every single layer of this mess, because trust me when I tell you, the deeper we go, the crazier it gets. Here is how we are going to do this. First, we are walking through the night Blueface decided a text thread was evidence and a live stream was a courtroom. Then we are pulling apart the tour fallout, because somebody in this friendship is not telling the truth about who asked who. And by the end of this video, you are going to have a very strong opinion about which one it is. After that, we are getting into what really happened inside that baby shower, the uninvited guest, the fake mailman, the screaming match in the driveway, and the phone call to the police that turned a celebration into something else entirely. And then we are closing with the two scandals that got swallowed by the bigger story, the $2,000 confession that Flo will never live down, and the club showdown that has Woo Lady and Jana trending for all the wrong reasons. By the time we are done, you're going to understand why this might be the weekend the whole streaming family tree split straight down the middle. So let's start where the fire started. According to what has been going around, Blueface has not spoken to DDG in a while, and he is feeling some type of way about it. The way Blueface tells it, he has nothing but love for DDG. Those are his words. He literally said he loves DDG, but he feels like it gets to a point where a man has to ask himself whether the friendship is real or whether it only exists when the cameras are rolling. Blueface told his viewers that he should not have to text this man his new number 100 times just to get a response. He should not have to invite him to his baby shower 100 times just to get ignored. And what really seemed to cut deep for Blueface was this. He said his friend is quick to give shoutouts, quick to appreciate the subs, quick to show love when there is an audience watching. But when it comes to real life, when it comes to showing up for the people who were there before the fame, Blueface feels like his friend is nowhere to be found. And then came the line that had the entire chat in a frenzy. He said, "Nobody is bigger than the program." He said sometimes certain people only respect social media. So sometimes social media is exactly where you have to take it if you ever want them to respond. And that is precisely what he did. With 45,000 people sitting in his chat, Blueface pulled up the actual text thread between him and DDG and showed it to the world, just so everybody could see the pattern with their own eyes. Now think about how cold that is for a second. This was not a subtweet. This was not a vague post. This was a man opening his phone, scrolling to his brother's name, and broadcasting the receipts to an audience bigger than most arena shows. And let's be real about the theater of it all, because this man did not stumble into that moment. He announced it beforehand. He told the chat he had 45,000 people watching, told them he was about to show the text thread, and framed it like a public service. Just so y'all know, he said, it is kind of weird. That little preface matters, because it tells you Blueface understood exactly what he was doing. He was not venting. He was presenting evidence to a jury. And in this courtroom, the jury is the chat, the verdict is the clips, and the sentence is getting cooked on every blog page for the next 2 weeks. He even framed the whole thing as a lesson. Nobody is bigger than the program, which is the same philosophy that built his entire career. In Blueface world, the program is the stream is the court, and if you will not answer a man in private, you will answer him in public, in front of everybody. Whether you think that is accountability or betrayal probably says everything about which man's side you were already on. People in the chat were losing it, because you could feel that this was not really about one baby shower. This was about months, maybe years, of Blueface feeling like he was slowly being phased out of DDG's life, while DDG's star kept rising higher and higher. But hold on, because the baby shower was not even the biggest bomb Blueface dropped that night. The real nuclear moment was the tour situation. Now here is where the story splits into two completely different versions, and depending on who you believe, somebody in this friendship is not telling the truth. According to Blueface, he never asked to go on tour with DDG. He says he never even mentioned touring with the man. In his version of events, it was DDG who came out first and publicly said he was going to hit the road with them. So Blueface and his team took him at his word. They started setting everything up. Dates were being locked in. Contracts were being drawn up. Real money and real logistics were being put on the table. And then, right when it was time for DDG to actually commit, Blueface says the pushback started. The consistent conversation dried up. The energy shifted. And that is when he and his crew decided to apply public pressure, because in their minds, private messages were getting left on read. So they got on stream and started calling DDG out by name. They said, "DD, what is up? Bro, we touring or what?" They told DDG this was the last chance, that dates were being locked, that contracts were being signed, and that they needed him to be more responsive. They even told DDG to meet them in Calabasas and get ready to run through the whole United States. He had his entire chat spamming messages telling DDG to answer the question, "Are you going on tour with Blueface or not?" Somebody on the couch even joked that DD was out there playing games, and the whole crew leaned into it, half laughing, half serious, the way people do when the joke is covering up a real wound. And notice the staging of it all, because none of it was an accident. He did not make one phone call and leave a voicemail. He built a moment. He knew that DDG lives online, breathes online, and checks his mentions before he checks his messages. So Blueface turned the tour question into a trending topic and dared him to ignore 45,000 people asking him the same question at the same time. That is not how you settle business between friends. That is how you settle business between brands. And that distinction is the entire tragedy here, because Blueface and DDG clearly still love each other. You can hear it in every sentence, but they are no longer speaking the same language. One of them is speaking brotherhood, and the other one is speaking broadcast. And then he added the part that made the whole room go quiet. He said, "You asked for this." Meaning from his perspective, DDG planted this seed himself, watered it in public, and then acted brand new when it was time to harvest it. He said they were still waiting on a response, still waiting on that promotion. And then came the emotional gut punch that turned this from business beef into something way more personal. He said, "I hate to think that when I went to prison, you got Hollywood and stopped." He did not even finish the sentence, but he did not have to. Everybody in that chat knew exactly what was being implied. That while Blueface was locked up, his friend leveled up, and when Blueface came home, the brother he left behind had been replaced by a celebrity who was too busy, too polished, and too important to text back. Somebody on the stream even pointed out that Blueface was the one who helped him get his whole streaming operation together in the first place. And Blueface people were basically saying, "That is your brother for real, and he has not been acting like it lately." Blueface admitted he has been tapping in with his brother, and the man has been acting like everything is for content, like everything is for stream, and Blueface said it is starting to look a little weird. And then he cut through all of it with the rawest line of the night. He said, "Forget all that. Forget social media. Forget all of it. Are we friends or not, man? That is a fact." That one question right there is the entire heart of this story, and we are going to come back to it. So keep it in the back of your mind. And before we move on, notice what Blueface did not do. He did not diss DDG's music. He did not bring up DDG's relationship. He did not call DDG a single name. Every word of that stream was the language of a hurt friend, not a rival. The number changes, the unanswered invites, the unreturned energy. In hip-hop, beef is usually loud and proud, with bars and disses and subliminals flying in every direction. This was not that. This was a man begging his brother to pick up the phone, and using the only phone he knows his brother still answers, the one with 45,000 people on the other end of it. Now, before anybody writes DDG off as the villain of this movie, you need to hear the other side of the chessboard, because DDG did not stay completely silent. He just answered in his own quiet way. Around the same time Blueface was airing him out, DDG tweeted about his son. And if you know anything about his situation, you know this is not a small detail. This is the detail. DDG shares his son, baby Halo, with Halle Bailey, and the current arrangement reportedly has DDG spending his Sundays with his boy. Here is the part that changes the entire temperature of the story. His son is not allowed to be on anybody's camera. Period. That is a hard boundary in his co-parenting world, And anybody who has followed the back and forth between DDG and Halle Bailey over the past couple of years knows that cameras and that baby have been a sensitive subject for a long time. And for anybody who needs a refresher on why that camera rule is carved in stone, go back and look at the history. There was a very public moment where Halle Bailey made it painfully clear she was not comfortable with their son being shown on live streams. After the baby appeared during a stream appearance DDG made without her knowing. That situation exploded everywhere. DDG had to answer for it publicly, and the lesson got burned into how he moves. Ever since then, DDG has treated Halo's face like classified information. So when Blueface invites him to a fully live-streamed baby shower on the one day of the week that belongs to Halo, he is not just picking between a party and a nap. He is picking between his friend's feelings and his co-parenting arrangement, between a photo op and a headache he has already survived once and swore he would never repeat. Now hold that thought and place it next to this one. Blueface live-streamed his entire baby shower. The whole thing. Wall to wall. Every guest, every gift, every argument, every uncomfortable second, all of it was content. So picture the position DDG was in. The baby shower lands on his Sunday. His Sunday is Halo Day. Halo cannot be on camera, and the event he is being invited to is essentially a live television production with Blueface holding the remote. Was he ghosting his friend, or was he doing the math and realizing there was no version of that day where he shows up with his son and protects the boundaries he is legally and personally committed to? A lot of people are now saying DDG could have simply communicated that. A simple text, a quick call, a real explanation. That is all Blueface was asking for, and honestly, that part is fair. Silence is what turned a scheduling conflict into a friendship funeral. And let's not pretend DDG's transformation is imaginary, because it is not. This is a man who started on YouTube filming in his bedroom, turned himself into a rapper, turned the rap career into a streaming empire, and turned the streaming empire into red carpets, award shows, and a relationship with one of the most famous young women on the planet. His circle got smaller as his world got bigger, and everybody from his past has a version of the same story. The calls slow down, the visits stop, and suddenly every interaction seems to have a camera sitting in the middle of it. Blueface is just the first one bold enough, or maybe hurt enough, to read the receipts out loud. And you can tell the accusation stung, because DDG did not respond with anger. He responded with a tweet about his son, a quiet, pointed reminder that his priorities have names and faces now, and none of them are sitting in that chat. But others are pointing out that DDG has been moving very deliberately for a while now. He has a brand to protect. He has a high-profile co-parenting situation with Halle Bailey that the blogs watch like hawks. He has crossover opportunities that do not survive being attached to chaotic live-streamed events where the police end up getting called before the cake is even cut. And speaking of the police, we are getting there in a second, because what actually happened at that baby shower is exactly the kind of scene that his team probably saw coming from a mile away. So the question I want you to sit with is this. Is DDG a fake friend who got Hollywood and forgot the people who built with him? Or is he a father and a businessman quietly separating himself from situations that only exist to feed an algorithm? Because the answer probably decides whose side you are on, and I promise the comment section is going to be at war over it. And now, the moment you have been waiting for, the baby shower itself. Because y'all, this thing went from celebration to circus faster than anybody could have predicted. So Blueface and his girlfriend Nevaeh were having their baby shower, and in true Blueface fashion, the entire event was being streamed live for the world. Everything was moving along until the vibe completely shifted, because reportedly, Chrisian Rock popped up. Yes, that Chrisian Rock. Uninvited, unexpected, and absolutely not in the mood to be ignored. What happened next plays out like a scene from a reality show that nobody scripted, but everybody performed in anyway. There is a knock at the door. People inside start asking who it is. Somebody yells that they are under attack. Somebody else notices the camera is right there. And the voice on the other side of that door has the audacity to announce, it is the mailman. The mailman. At a baby shower. In the middle of all this chaos. When the people inside hesitate, the voice doubles down. Open the door, or you are being disrespectful. Now, everybody watching that stream knew exactly who that was, and it was not anybody from the Postal Service. Because here is what makes that moment so much darker than the meme it became. The person outside that door knew exactly what they were doing, and according to what was said on the stream, they were not even alone. Blueface later admitted that the surprise guest knew he was at the door, because in his own words, the guest pulled up with him. Read that again. The mailman did not just wander onto the porch. The mailman had a ride, and he sat in the middle of it, telling everybody who would listen that he does not care about the baby shower, that the cameras were right there, that nobody is safe. His words, not mine. and basically daring anybody in that house to make it physical. That is not a party guest. That is a producer. And everybody in that driveway that day was talent whether they knew it or not. The mailman bit had the internet howling, but the situation underneath it was dead serious, because things escalated fast from there. Reports say Nevaeh was furious when she found out Blueface was in the car with Chrisian Rock after Chrisian popped up at the baby shower, and at some point Nevaeh actually called the police. Let me repeat that. The baby shower ended with law enforcement involved. There was screaming. There was chaos. At one point you can hear Blueface on the phone saying he is trying to go to the bank, calling for Marsh, asking why Marsh was called, asking if they are pulling up or what. And then the confrontation spilled into the driveway, where voices were raised and things were said that cannot be unsaid. Nevaeh told him he does not really love that little girl, and the exchange got uglier from there. He shot back telling her to watch her mouth. He told her that whoever she was worried about was not going to save her, that he would laugh and open the door just like he did before. And then came the line that summed up his entire philosophy that weekend. He said he does not care about the baby shower drama. He said watch your mouth and worry about your baby. Worry about what you were trying to secure. Meanwhile, on the other side of the driveway, people were screaming for somebody to be taken out of the car, voices overlapping, everybody performing for a live audience that was clipping every second of it in real time. There was one stretch of that confrontation people keep replaying, where the shouting turns into a tug of words over who is getting out of whose car, a woman crying that this is her mother, her everything, and everybody screaming no at the exact same time while nothing actually gets resolved. It is the kind of footage that is funny in a 15-second clip and heartbreaking in full context, because underneath all the performance you can hear real people having the worst day of their month on camera for total strangers. Within hours, the mailman clip was everywhere. The police call was everywhere. The car confrontation was everywhere. And Nevaeh's special day, the day that was supposed to be about celebrating her baby, had been completely swallowed by a content tornado that she never signed up for. And let's pour one out for Nevaeh for a second, because out of everybody on that stream, she is the only one whose day was actually supposed to matter. This was her baby shower, her family, her friends, her moment. And instead of a memory, she got a headline. Instead of games and gifts, she got a guest list scandal, a fake mailman, and a police report. Whatever you think about how she handled it. And we will get into whether calling the police was protection or escalation. The woman deserved a day that was about her baby, and what she got instead was a front row seat to her own life being turned into programming. And people still wonder why DDG did not want any part of it. Keep that thought, because it is about to matter again. Now, remember what was said about DDG only respecting social media? Sit with the irony for a second. The same event DDG was asked to honor in real life was an event that got turned into programming. And that contradiction right there is the thread that ties this entire saga together, so do not lose it, because we are pulling on it again before this video is over. Now, if you thought the Blueface and DDG drama was messy, wait until you hear about the internet personality named Flo, because this man just got put on blast in a way that is genuinely hard to come back from. So here's what is going around. A young woman has come forward claiming that she and Flo were talking behind the scenes for a while, and during that time, she was the one quietly funding Flo's lifestyle, not the other way around. According to her, the money was flowing in one direction, from her pockets to Flo's. And a couple of months ago, they stopped talking. But before they fell out, the last thing Flo asked her for was $2,000. And she says she only sent it because she believed she was getting that $2,000 back. So she took to the internet and exposed Flo, calling him broke and telling anybody who would listen that he still has not paid her back a single dime. Now, Flo did not take that lying down, and his response is where this story goes from messy to absolutely unhinged. Flo came back and said that over the course of their situation, this woman had given him thousands upon thousands of dollars and never once asked for any of it back. So he was genuinely shocked that she suddenly wanted her money returned. And then Flo said the quiet part out loud on a live, and I need you to really hear this. Flo admitted that when he asked her for that money with the promise of sending it back, he already knew in his head he was never going to send it back. His exact energy was, I knew I was never sending you that money, gang. Then Flo quibbled over the math, claiming it was not even $2,000. More like $1,600 or $1,700, accusing her of adding extra dollars to make the story hit harder, as if the number was the scandal and not the confession. Flo went even further, bragging that he has been getting money out of women since he was 12 years old, saying he does not care how much money he has, and questioning how anybody could call him broke when she was spending money on him every single week on TikTok. And then Flo dropped a detail that made the entire internet collectively gasp. He revealed that he and this woman have never met each other in person. Ever. Not once. This entire financial pipeline, all those thousands of dollars, moving between two people who had never stood in the same room. Let that detail marinate, because it reframes everything. This was not a situationship that went bad over a couch and a shared lease. This was a long-distance digital arrangement where affection traveled one way and money traveled the other, and both people kept the pipeline running as long as it benefited them. The woman thought she was building something real, the inside jokes, the late-night talks, the little loans that prove loyalty. Flo, by his own admission, was running a play. And the wildest part is that Flo does not even seem ashamed of the play. Flo broke down the economics of it like a man explaining a business model, proud that the money kept coming, irritated only that the customers suddenly wanted a refund. And when the woman pointed out the allegations about how Flo treats women, Flo clapped back with a response so cold it practically froze the timeline. He basically asked, "Was I a woman beater when you were sending all that bread?" Meaning, in Flo's view, her outrage only showed up when her money stopped moving. Now, to be fair, there was a third voice in this mix who tried to break the situation down for the young woman, and honestly, it was the most honest moment of the whole exchange. This person told her, gently but directly, that what happened to her has a name. They explained that a trick is somebody operating under the impression that they are in a friendship or a romance, when in reality they are being worked. They told her she did not want to hear it, but that is what it was. And then they offered a lesson for everybody watching. If you ever find somebody willing to send you 5 here and 5 there consistently, and they ask you for 2 back, you pay that 2 back, because you already know another 10 is coming next month. Cold, calculated, and honestly a little too real. Meanwhile, the woman was not backing down either. She reminded everybody that Flo could not pay his bills, that he was behind on his car, that he was living in a small room in Jaden's townhouse before he moved downtown, and she dared Flo to show $50,000 right now if he was really as rich as he claimed. And then came the moment that might haunt Flo forever. In the middle of defending himself, with the woman listening, Flo got caught saying the quiet part to somebody else in the room, basically telling her he was only saying certain things so he could get more money. On a live, about the woman he was supposedly clearing things up with. The chat caught it instantly, the clips caught it faster, and just like that, every word of Flo's defense collapsed under the weight of his own confession. You cannot argue you are being misrepresented while literally narrating your own manipulation into a hot microphone. Flo kept insisting she was lying, kept promising he had the messages on his other phone, and the back and forth raged on with both of them basically bleeding each other dry in public. By the end of it, the woman had gone from explaining herself to just screaming her truth, calling Flo a bum, calling him broke, asking why she ever dropped a dime on him in the first place. And Flo's answer to all of that pain was to debate the invoice, to argue about whether it was $2,000 or $1,700, as if shaving $300 off the total somehow shaved the betrayal down with it. It did not. If anything, watching a man haggle over the price of somebody's heartbreak told the internet everything it needed to know about which one of them really lost that day. And it was not the woman who walked away lighter by $2,000. So now the streets are split. Half saying the woman played herself by funding a man she never met, and half saying Flo just confessed to running a whole romance scam on live and is somehow proud of it. Wherever you land, one thing is undeniable. That $2,000 or $1,600, depending on who you ask, has become the most expensive loan in internet history because the price Flo is paying in reputation is way higher than anything he could have sent back. And just when you think the timeline could not possibly hold one more scandal, we have to talk about what went down between Woo Lady and Jana, because this club confrontation has layers on layers. So the story starts at a club where the whole Baton Rouge streaming circle was out. Funny Mike was there, Rakai was there, Bird was there, basically the entire extended family was in the building. Jana was in a section, and at some point, a live stream started floating around where Jana could be seen in the background. Jana got upset, feeling like Woo Lady recorded her on purpose, and Jana responded by calling Woo Lady a fan. A fan. Now, if you know anything about this world, you know that is a fighting word, and Woo Lady heard it loud and clear. So Woo Lady got on her own platform to clear everything up, and her version of events is very different. According to Woo Lady, she never recorded Jana at all. She says Bird was the one on live. The comments started talking crazy, claiming Woo Lady and Jana were in the same club. Bird passed the phone, and Woo Lady simply showed her own body, her own fit, her own moment. When the comments asked where Jana was, Woo Lady says she just answered honestly. She is literally right there. What was she supposed to do? And then Woo Lady turned up the heat. She said she walked right up in front of Jana and Jana's daughter, and absolutely nothing happened. No energy. No action. Nothing. Woo Lady said she showed the live, right there in front of Jana, and still nothing happened. So in Woo Lady's eyes, all this outrage is performance. Because if Jana really felt disrespected, the moment to address it was when Wu Lady was standing directly in front of her. But Wu Lady was not even close to done, because then she dropped the detail that shifted the entire narrative. Wu Lady revealed that Jana and her own daughter Maya got into a bad argument right in front of her at that club. A bad one. According to Wu Lady, she literally picked up her hookah and minded her business while a mother and daughter went at it in public. Wu Lady said she even tried to be gracious about it. She told little Maya it was okay, and she challenged Jana to go ahead and ask the daughter if she is lying. And then Wu Lady landed the kind of line that lives on the internet forever. She said the daughter is more mature than the mother. She questioned why Jana would even try to perform all that energy in front of the baby, reminding everybody that at the end of the day, Jana is a mother with kids, and a club full of streamers is not the establishment for any of that. She said she is not fighting anybody in front of no kids, and if there was ever an issue, they could take it outside like adults, but not in no club, not in front of children, and not for content. And that is when Wu Lady said the line that connects this whole story to everything else we have talked about today. She said, "I am not on content." She said, "Y'all talk about me, talk about my kids, do all this back and forth on TikTok, and then think we are going to be friends in real life. No." She said, "Once you cross that line, you have got to stay there." And that philosophy right there is why this feud hit different, because Wu Lady was not arguing about a video. She was arguing about respect across platforms. In her mind, the internet is the internet, and the club is the club, and you do not get to be bold in a comment section and then go quiet when the section is 12 feet away. She painted the whole picture for her audience. The daughter trying to make peace, the mother pulling her back, the hookah smoke, the little girl watching all of it. And by the time she finished, the question was not who recorded who anymore. The question was who embarrassed who. And the comment sections had already delivered their verdict. Jana, for her part, seemed to suggest at one point that she wanted to squash the beef, but according to Wu Lady, she grabbed Maya and told her, "Do not talk to that girl," and made it crystal clear that there is no squashing anything. And Wu Lady closed the whole rant with one final observation that had people cackling. She said she just saw Jana in person and let everybody know that she and Jana are not the same size, so Jana can stop saying that. Now Funny Mike, Rakai, and the rest of that circle have been suspiciously quiet while all this unfolds, and people are watching closely to see whose side they pick, because in that world, silence is a position too. And here is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Every streamer in that section that night has a platform. Every one of them has seen these clips, and every one of them is calculating whether jumping in helps their numbers or hurts their relationships. Funny Mike built an empire on being everywhere the energy is, but energy like this has a body count, and the smart ones know that today's viral moment is tomorrow's awkward run-in. So they wait, they watch, and they let Wu Lady and Jana fight over a video that, if we are being honest, neither one of them even recorded. So now let's zoom all the way out, because when you lay these three stories side by side, you start to realize they are all the same story wearing different outfits. Blueface is screaming at DDG through a live stream because he cannot tell anymore whether their brotherhood is real or whether it only exists when there are 45,000 people watching. Flo is on live admitting he took money from a woman he never met, treating human connection like a subscription service. And Wu Lady is in a club parking lot of the internet, drawing a line between people who perform friendship for content and people who live it for real. That is the thread, y'all. Are we friends or not, man? That question Blueface asked DDG is the same question the young woman is asking Flo, and the same question Jana is asking everybody who smiled at her on TikTok and iced her in the club. Somewhere along the way, the line between loyalty and programming got so blurry that nobody in this world can tell the difference anymore. Not the rappers, not the streamers, and honestly, maybe not even us, the ones watching it all like a sport. Because if we are keeping it all the way honest, we are part of this economy too. Every clip we replay, every side we pick, every comment we fire off at 2 in the morning is fuel for a machine that pays out in attention and collects in relationships. Blueface knows it. He literally said nobody is bigger than the program. Flo knows it. He turned heartbreak into a business model and said so on live. And DDG knows it too, which might be the real reason he is pulling back, because maybe he looked at the whole board and decided the only winning move was to log off and go be a father on Sundays. DDG chose his son and his boundaries and got called Hollywood for it. Blueface chose the algorithm and lost his brother over it. Nevaeh chose a baby shower and got a police report instead. And Flo chose $1,600 or $1,700 over a reputation and will be paying that debt off in comment sections for years. The game has changed, and the receipts are all public now. But you know what? I want to hear from you, because this one is genuinely divided. Was Blueface wrong for putting the text thread on live? Or did DDG leave him no choice by going ghost? Should DDG have shown up to that baby shower? Or was protecting Halo's privacy the only real option? Is Flo a hustler or a scammer? And does that woman share the blame for funding a stranger? And be honest, was Wu Lady recording Jana on purpose? Or was Jana performing for a fight she never really wanted? Sound off in the comments, because I read every single one, and I already know y'all are about to go to war down there. And listen, if you think this weekend was wild, you are not even going to believe what is about to come out about the tour contracts and who else was supposed to be on those dates. Trust me, you are going to want to be subscribed when that drops, because this story is nowhere near finished. So do not go anywhere. Do not let that algorithm shuffle you away, because the second those tour contracts leak, and they always leak, we are going to be right back here breaking down every name on that list, every date on that calendar, and every friendship that did not survive the fine print. Drop your verdict in the comments right now. Team Blueface, Team DDG, or Team Everybody Needs to Log Off and Touch Grass. The floor is yours.